Hi, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and get started. If you've got questions, go ahead and type them in to the chat box, and I can absolutely help you with any question that you would have. I'm on the home screen of Field Service Management. I'm in a customer profile right now. Um, if you notice, the customer notes are here at the top in the right-hand corner, and they're a great area to add any information like a gate code or a garage door code. Any specific notes about that customer would be good if you added them here, as opposed to adding those notes on the work order. So, like this work order, for example, um, there's a note section here. And then there's an attachment section on that work order. The attachments section would be here if I wanted to go ahead and choose a file, like a photo for those technicians or a document for those technicians to see. And then you can just list what type of attachment type it is and go ahead and add a title and hit add. And then the technician would be able to see that on site in the notes area on his or her device. The right over here, the attachment, sorry, the notes section here is where, sorry, I'm going to back up. The attachment section on the work order is going to be something that only the office can see. My apologies. The attachment section, let me say that one more time, is a section only the office can see. The notes section is what the technician would see in the field. So if you needed the technician to see a photo or a document, you would have to take a photo of that PDF and then attach it here. It would have to be a JPEG file and then hit add, and then the technician could see that. Or if you wanted to add a text note for the technician, they could see that too. So again, if you did want the technician to see something in the field from the office that you wanted to add, you would add it under the notes section. The attachment section would be for the office. Okay, so back to what I was saying about that customer notes section. So this notes section would be a permanent note section that you can always come back to and access when you search for Rob Graber here. So anytime you pulled up the customer profile, you would be able to easily see the notes here, as opposed to, say, looking at a work order, trying to find a work order, and then looking at the notes or attachments here. So if you've got a permanent note that you want to make on a customer, do so in that notes section. Okay, so this is the home screen of Field Service Management. I'm just going to create a work order today, and then I'm going to send that to QuickBooks. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in and get started. Sorry for digressing. So go ahead and click on search for a customer here, or go ahead and go over here to your recent items and find a customer that way that you were looking at before, or change this view over here to recently viewed, recently created, or recently serviced too, as another quick way to get a customer that you're looking for. So I'm going to start with one of my new customers, Rob, and I'm going to go ahead and add a piece of equipment to his profile, because we are working on a boiler for him today, and I can see that he doesn't have that on his profile. So I'm going to go ahead and hit add, and I'm going to select, oh, I don't see boiler in my list, so I'm going to go ahead and have to add it first beforehand. So I'm going to go ahead and hit model your business. I'm going to go to equipment types, and I'm going to add a new equipment type. So I'm going to add boiler. Okay, so now I can actually set services for that boiler. I can say, you know, not working, zone checklist. I can add that. All right, so let's go ahead back to Rob and add that boiler. So I'm going to come over here to equipment, under his profile, and I'm going to hit add, and I'm going to select my boiler. All right. All right, so I've added that boiler, and now that I've added it, I can create a work order against it, so I can start developing work order history. So I'm going to say new work order, and I'm going to go ahead and hit next, and I'm going to select that boiler. So now you can see here it's in the list, and I can see those services that I created. It's not working. I'm going to go ahead and hit next, and I'm going to say, well, before I hit next, I'm actually going to make one note. I'm just going to say to the technician here, please try to get a service agreement in place for Rob for this boiler. Please offer the silver package to him that we have. Let him know the office will be in touch to get his next visit in place. Please try to get a service agreement in place for this boiler. Please offer the silver package to him. Let him know that the office will be in touch to get his next visit scheduled. Okay, and then you can let him know pricing for that is $149.99. You can take a check. So I know that's kind of descriptive, but I wanted to let you know that you can really use this area to say anything you need to say to the technicians. So I'm going to go ahead and hit next, and I'm going to say today Rob is going to, it's going to be Alex, and we'll make it, it's kind of booked. So I'll put it down here. I'm going to say next, and now this is the final confirmation screen. If I needed to edit any of those sections, the word edit is in this area here. Come back, can add a note if I'd like, and that would be a note that's attached to this work order, not to the customer's profile. It would be a note that's attached to the work order that they would see in their phone or tablet in the notes section. Okay, so you can hear that I got a work order, and I'm going to pull up my device on the screen. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead under waiting for pickup. You can see all my alerts coming in. And just to talk about the alerts area here, so here are the alerts. As they come in, you can delete them. You know, you've seen them. Very easy to get rid of. Okay, so the work orders are going to come in order of how they were assigned. So it doesn't matter which work order you start with, but of course, I would suppose that your office would like you to start with the work order that's at the top and work your way down. So let's go ahead and open up the first job here. And I can see that it's waiting for me to get picked up. I can see the service address and the contact information. I can see what I'm doing today. I'm going to go ahead and click on the service address here at the top, and it's going to lead me right to the job. Oh, excuse me. All right, so then I'm going to click the home button, and I'm going to get back to my job. I'm going to go ahead and say pick up and start. So I just press the status area. So now my work started, and you can see on the dispatch board what's going on with that job. If you refresh it, you would be able to see, where is today at 7:30. All right, our work's been started. That would be, let's come over here. Yeah, you can see here I've started the work, and it was at 7:30 in the morning. So it's overdue. I'm just starting it now. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and see what I'm doing today. I'm doing remediation. I'm going to go ahead and hit complete. And if you do have the time card module in place, it will post your time to the time card once you hit complete on that job. Once a technician hits complete or pause, it's posting the time. So that would be if you have your settings on your time card as the work order feeding the time card. If you have the punch in, punch out workflow method selected, it's going to post the time once they log into the app, and it'll post their time once they log out of the app. But it will also break down the amount of time they did spend on the work order next to that. So I think great. Each method is great for tracking time. And I would just have to say that you would have to see which one you like better. So get with me on that, and we can test that out for you. All right, it was just sometimes it takes a little bit for the GPS to come up. So I'm going to make a note now using my voice to text microphone. I was able to finish the remediation on this job, period. I was there for 2 hours, period. And I used X materials and need to come back for another visit to ensure that everything is working out, period. So maybe that's not the best area to put that in. You could put that in the notes area, because this is an area that the customer is going to see when you send them a copy of that work order. If you don't want your technician sending it from the field, they sure don't have to. You can make sure you edit this area before a customer would even see it if you want to only send it from the browser. So I'm going to hit complete, and then I'm going to go ahead and send a copy, get a customer signature. You can see that note that I made there is at the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and hit accept, and I'm going to take a signature from the customer. And now I'm going to go ahead and send that to the customer. So I'm going to send that work order signature that they did along with that preview that you saw will go with that signature. All right, so that's finished. I'm going to move on to my next job. Let's go over here to Rob Graber, the one that we created about that, wanting to get that service package in place for this customer. So I'm going to go ahead and pick up and start this job. So my work's been started, and now I can see here that they want me to get a service agreement in place. So I'm going to try to get that service agreement from that customer after I'm finished with my work. So I finished my work. I'm going to go ahead and hit complete. I was able to successfully fix the boiler. I had a coil and was able to get that accomplished, period. So even if you don't say how long you were on site, there is a timestamp on that work order in the work order action log area to let you know when they picked up that, when they were started that job and when they completed that job. So I'm going to show you that after this. And then you're going to add the equipment, would just be that boiler, to that work order, and you're going to hit complete. So if you come over here and you click on equipment boiler down at the bottom, you would hit, you could go ahead and hit edit attributes. Oh, whoopsie. Let's add some really quick. That's a good thing for you to see. So I added a new piece of equipment. I added boiler, and you have to come over here and hit set services, and then below are the attributes that you want to track. So you just have to change this to change, and then on your account they would turn gray to let you know they're being tracked. So I'll just quick log out and log back in, have that. Okay, so I'm going to go under the boiler again. I'm going to hit edit attributes, and now they're there for me. I can add the condition, good, period. I can add the installation date. He said it was installed 2 years ago. In November, he thinks, and the manufacturer is Goodman. Model number. All right, so those are the only attributes I want to track. If I wasn't going to fill out the bottom tag ID, it doesn't matter. It won't make me fill it in. So the next time that we have another work order on this boiler, you can go over here and now go to equipment history. And there's no history yet, but we're going to create another work order against Rob, and then I'll log in and you'll be able to see that we have a equipment history against that boiler. So you can see if you hit site service, this is the only work order here that's been completed for Rob so far. We fixed a faucet for him, and now we're doing a boiler. So this work order will be added to that site list, and the next time I have another boiler work order, I'll be able to see that equipment history filtered against that boiler. Okay, so let's go ahead and create a work order, another work order for Rob. And I'm just going to say create new work order. And the technicians can totally do this on the fly. If you've got the phones rolling over to them for a weekend. And there's Rob, and I'm going to go ahead and select that boiler. Not working period. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pick up and start this work order. And if I go over here down to add that boiler, I'm going to go ahead and say equipment history. And now I can see that I've got just that one work order here, historical information on that boiler. So if I were to come down here and hit site, I can see all the work orders that I've ever done for Rob. But if I only wanted to see just the boiler, so I could really dial in to see, hey, what's going on? Why isn't it working again? I mean, we were just out here. So he's going to click on equipment and he's going to say equipment history, boiler. So say when you were out there, you wanted to you wanted to do another piece of equipment, maybe for Rob. So let's do that. So let's complete this work order. I was able to complete the work for the boiler. I added a new nut and bolt, and it fixed the issue period. So now I'm completed with that job. I come down here and I could so let's if I wanted to add a piece of equipment and I hit change equipment, it's going to remove that service history for that boiler. So you can only really add one piece of equipment per work order. So I think the best example would be if I was on like a routine call and I wanted to add a piece of equipment on the fly because, this one is faucet leaking, but while you were there, he said, "Hey, can you take a look at my furnace too? It's something is going on there." Or maybe you got a service agreement in place for Ellie and you wanted to add that furnace to his account. So I'm going to go furnace, I'm going to say equipment, and then in the left-hand corner, I'm going to hit the addition sign. And I don't see furnace on this list. Let's say, because I would have to add it in the settings, but let's say I want to work on his water heater. I could go ahead and save that and then add that to his account on the fly there. So if I went ahead and completed this, fix the faucet period. Also, customer wants me to take a look at their water heater. For next time period, please have the office contact this customer so we can help him with his faucet period. Sorry, with his furnace. So now this is a section the customer would see. So rather than, type it here, I think the better area to do it in would be the notes area. So maybe just say here, fixed faucet for customer. And I'm hitting complete, and then I'm going to come down here in the notes area and I'm going to add a text note. Customer wants us to look at water heater for next time. Please reach out to customer to schedule a service call period. I did not have enough time to fix his water heater period. Have us fix his water heater. Okay. So, and then maybe you could snap a photo. So let's see, let's come back. So that was, I'm going to go over here to the My Work Orders tab, and I'm going to go to the completed area, and we're going to see where those notes came in. So I have my filter on because I just want to see for today here. So let's start, and it comes in at the top. So the one you completed recently. So there's that note here. So you be sure to be on the lookout in this area because this is the way the technician communicates with you at the office. Very important, because then you could call the customer based upon that note. Okay, now I can also see that if I click on Ellie here, I can now see that that water heater was added to that customer. So the next time Ellie, you scheduled a call with Ellie because fixed the faucet, but now you need to fix the water heater according to the technician, you're going to hit new work order. You're going to hit next, and there that water heater is in that list for you. And you are going to select that, say not working, you're not sure what's going on. Okay, and then below here, you can see, if you were to click site service, you can see all of the work orders that were completed here for that technician, sorry, for this customer. But when you hit equipment service here in the second tab, you'll only see just the work order associated with that piece of equipment. So then you can go ahead and open that up. So this was the original work order where Alex diagnosed that something was wrong with that water heater and he just didn't have time to go out. So in something to note, if you navigate away from the work order, an orange box is going to appear here in the right-hand corner for you to go right back to that work order where you were. So I did just remove, didn't save what I did, but all right. And then you're going to go ahead and schedule that call, let's say for next week, and you're going to give it to Alex, and you're going to simply hit next and finish. So now that work order is on the board, and you're going to find it in your pending list, the one that you just did. You can see here it's scheduled for 9:24. Got to fix the time. I made it AM. Whoops. So if you notice that, no problem. Just hit that black arrow and click Edit Assignment, and then you can simply change that time. I meant to say 12 p.m. Okay. So now that's done. So I was mentioning something about the timestamp on that work order. So when you're coming here and you're going to bill Ellie for the work that Alex did, you're going to want to know how long Alex was on site. So if you've got that time card module, you can see here the time posted on that job was 1 minute. It's going to give you a preview. If you don't have the time card module, don't worry. You're going to just click this see the action log for this work order, and you're going to be able to see it was picked up, it was started at 10:24, and it was completed at 10:25 here. So, and then on the time card, you're going to be able to see that Alex was on that job this morning here, and you're going to be able to see his time worked on all of these work orders totaled up. And I do have rounding rules turned on here, which is why 10:13 to 10:16 is 15 minutes. So you don't have to have rounding rules turned on. You're going to find those rules in your settings, time card, and you're going to go to rounding rules, and then you're going to be able to specify here if you want to round up, round down, or no, I don't want any rounding rules at all. So I'm going to finish this job now, finish it off, and I'm going to get it to QuickBooks. So it's not prepared yet. You can see here. So really what your job is every day is to just turn this filter on once a day. So I'm going to clear this off so you can see this. It's going to be all of your jobs that were completed from the beginning of time. So I'd recommend turning this on once a day, and then you can start at the top and work your way down to see which invoices can I get over to QuickBooks. So I'm going to go ahead and click here. And this one is ready to get out. I can see, oh, was this completed? Yep. So this is ready. It says fixed faucet for a customer. Okay, and I can see he was on site, for 1 minute. So we're just going to bill our standard 1 hour minimum. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to add my charges. I'm going to search for my labor. I don't have any, so it doesn't matter. You can select any item you want. And you can just type in any rate you want. I would create a general item though in QuickBooks that does say labor, because you don't want their invoice to say plans and permit. So I'm just going to delete this. I'm actually going to create a labor item. I would recommend creating the item from QuickBooks as opposed to creating it in Field Service, but it's okay if you do, in a pinch here, want to add an item. It's just because more errors occur when you synchronize. It has, sometimes I've noticed that, so I just recommend creating a price list item from QuickBooks and then syncing it back. So let's say, okay, so I added my labor, and then maybe I forgot there was a service trip charge. Okay, and now I'm gonna go back to that job that I was on, and I'm gonna add my labor, and I'm gonna add my service trip charge. And then when QuickBooks syncs, you'll be able to see those items pop over. So that'll be good for everybody to see. Okay, so I'm done now, and I'm gonna move it to approved. I'm just gonna hit save. And now I'm gonna go back to my list to start in on my next one. So let's say I can't build this one yet because I need to talk to the technician more about what happened because he wasn't detailed enough. That's fine. I can go down on my next one. But let's say I wanted to let myself know, and it was my goal to get all these done for the day. And I was hell or high water, I was going to get them all over to QuickBooks today. But I wanted to know, which one I need to come back to and address rather than making maybe like a post-it note. You can come down here and you can just say set flag and just say other and just say talk to technician. And we can actually make a flag reason in your settings that instead of just these, it would say talk to technician. That could be helpful. You know what? Why don't we do that really quick? Flag reasons. Add a flag reason. Talk to tech. Add. So then come over here. This is the one we can't finish. I would just set that flag. Say talk to tech. And just say need okay. So now, boom, there's a flag there letting me know that I need to talk to the tech to bill it out. So let's come down the list and get to my next job here. And, if there was a note here added by that technician, you're going to see it here. So it's good to know that when they get completed and you're ready to do your invoice, always come over here. Make sure you're looking here for this note. Be on the lookout for that note the technician is going to make to you. So they're going to communicate that way to you about that customer. So we've really got to talk to the technicians about really utilizing this area because it's an area that the customer does not see. So it's good to be as descriptive as possible about things that customer might need in the future. It's a big revenue area in my mind. So if I'm training your technicians in, I will let them know that. So have no fear, I will get that through to them. Okay, so let's go ahead and prepare that invoice. This is a little bit better here. I'm going to add my charges. I can see that I was on site for less than 1 minute when I checked my time posted, so I'm going to do my 1 hour minimum. I'm going to do my service trip charge that I just made. And then maybe there's a miscellaneous parts. I don't see. Okay, so let's just, I'm going to skip that for now, but you could make like a miscellaneous item, and then it would just be a $0 item here that says parts, and then you would put the coil and then add that rate. So for next time. So I'm just going to approve this. And now I'm going to open up QuickBooks and I'm going to perform my sync. And I had a customer ask me the other day, can we run this sync as many times as we want? Absolutely. You can run it as many times as you want. I mean, I would recommend doing that. I mean, if you can't get that whole list over in one fell swoop, run the sync in between. So then when you come back to your list, you can see there which ones have been exported. And I'm going to do that after the sync is done so you can see that. All right, and this is just going to take a few minutes. You can see we've got the 3 updated customers here. These are customers I just added today, and they're coming over to QuickBooks. You can hit next to speed things up. We can see we've got our items that it's adding. And then our invoices should be next. Here we go. Okay, so I can come over here to my invoice and I can see the invoices that were just added. So there's Rob. There's Famous Dave's that came over. So if I go to the customer center, I can see here, there's that work order number. And then I can see this is not spelled correctly. So I can fix this before I send it off. So the customer is going to get a copy of that work order in the field if you're giving the technician permission to send a copy of that work order. So the customer would see this description here. If you just want the technician to get a signature and then that's it, that's fine. That's where we can have them stop so they wouldn't get that typo in the email. But I would recommend, of course, you're going to email off the invoice here to the customer if you haven't received a payment, or you're going to mail it off here. When you're doing that, of course, it's going to send a copy to your sent inbox in QuickBooks. If you're using QuickBooks Online, it's not going to send a copy of that invoice to your sent box. It's just going to be under the customer transaction details, and you're going to be able to see if they simply viewed that invoice or not. So that's all the time I had for today. I think we covered a lot, and until next time, we'll pick up, right where we left off. I hope I've stirred up a lot of questions for everybody. Until next time, thanks again.